Hey, local listeners, this is your host, Rob Kohansky. Welcome to another episode of Local First Podcast, where each week I interview local business owners, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. What we do is we share their story of success and challenges and their journey on how they became a community leader. I truly believe that behind every small business is a story that needs to be shared. I want to put a big thank you to my sponsors, Exacta Corporation, Think Possibilities, Think Exacta. Rare Leaders, connect, collaborate, contribute. Where leaders come to thrive and grow. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, as well as always love your feedback. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Local First Podcast, fastest growing podcast in the area, recognizing local businesses and what they do, connecting them to their community. So today we're going to talk a little bit about everything, but I was very fortunate enough to meet John Vuong. Did I say that right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Awesome. I always got to check because sometimes I stumble over my words and stuff like that. So with John today, we're going to talk a lot of little different things. We're going to talk about SEO. We might even talk a little bit of MBA. We're just going to see where this one goes on to it, and then we'll take notes as we go. How does that sound, John?
Sounds great. I'm excited.
All right, man. I did appreciate you taking the time to be on Local First Podcast. So before we get into, all the deep details about who John is and what you do for, your businesses up in Toronto, just so you know, this is my first international podcast here, even though he's in Canada. Well, we forgave you. Give the listeners a little bit of a background, about, who you are and, how you got to where you're at.
Definitely. Well, thanks a lot for the intro, Robert. Yes, I am located in Toronto, Canada. It is pretty much the epicenter of business here in Canada. And I started an agency called Local SEO Search 7 years ago. The primary focus is really to help small, medium-sized businesses, mainly family-run small business owners, strive and digitalize, get an online presence, and really optimize so that they can capture much more business for their retail outlet or service-based company, right? So my background prior to starting this agency was really interesting because I've always been in sales, in particular advertising sales. And a lot of people think traditional. Yes, I did work in traditional media, and it was only a couple different types of media that existed prior to the internet taking off, right? Yeah. So it was print, it was radio, television, trade shows. There were magazines, flyers, billboards. Those were pretty much it. And I was fortunate enough to work at Yellow Pages. And that's where I worked for 5 years. And I actually helped thousands of local business owners optimize and really generate a lot more return on investment. And these are the same terms I use for this agency because that's what people really care about as a business owner, right? Like, what am I paying for? What am I getting for it? And is it generating the type of leads or clients that ultimately I'm after?
Yeah, no doubt. I like that. And so I have to ask, almost deleted there. I almost ended our meeting accidentally. Oh, no, did it go? Oh, we're recording. Oh, we're good. Technology. So back on track here. This is going to be fun. Is there still Yellow Pages out there?
So yes, it still exists. However, it is a lot smaller. And I think their ad spend, like a lot of people who are still with Yellow Pages, have already digitalized, right? So you can advertise on their website. They can build a website through them. You can, generate or do SEO or PPC or ads or social with them, right? So they've kind of transformed their media mix and offerings.
That's interesting. So what is your passion, behind and what you do in helping small businesses, with the SEO? I mean, where does that come from?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town outside of Toronto, an hour away. And I actually it was family centric. So I was the youngest of 4 children, and really my local really resided around community and focus on family first. And while I was working in my first career and jobs in advertising sales, I noticed that a lot of these small, medium-sized business owners were family run, and they were really the core aspect of how the economy ran, right? Like they focus on the community, making an impact on helping their peers, their family, their friends, their community members strive and succeed by offering a product or service that people are willing to pay for, right? So what I felt was, in order for me to enjoy what I'm doing, I want to be similar to them. I felt what their passion was there, as well as their goals and their desires, right? And it was mainly generational, as opposed to nowadays people want to run a business, grow it, and exit, right, in a couple of years. But before technology existed, internet existed, it was mainly decades, multi-decades, or generational businesses that strived and succeeded, right? Yeah. Where they took care of their people, they took care of their clients, they really got to know each individual that went into the store, right? That's what I really enjoyed while working at Yellow Pages, and that's where I want to continue doing what I'm doing today.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. That's a really cool story that you shared with us there. I appreciate that. When it comes to SEO, I mean, I got all kinds of ideas what I think it should be. I mean, is there any kind of like cookie cutter way to go about this, or is it really each business has its own formula?
Yeah, each business definitely has their own competitive landscape, but Google is such a powerful medium, and content is distributed in so many different ways, right? It could be written content, audio, video, or images. And what you need to figure out is how is your ideal customers consuming that content, and then put together a campaign. Talk to your real customers. If you've been running a business for years, you probably know 5 or 10 really good ideal customers of yours. Speak to them, get to know them, uncover their journey. How do they come about finding you, and why do they like working with you in the first place, right? Once you get to know that aspect, then you can actually map out a good digital campaign to really speak more to your ideal tribe and cultivate more of those people. And that's where a lot of people forget about. They think SEO is going to be the miracle to flip upside down their business because it's already not working, or they're suffering. It's not as successful as they want to be, right? However, I kind of flip it opposite, and I'm like, look, run a good business. And what SEO can do is really elevate that business so that you can attract more of your ideal type of clients. And as opposed to just get any kind of client, but you don't even know how to take care of your existing clients, right? Like, what's the point?
I love that. And I love that you brought up tribe. I love that word. And it's just, it really resonates with me. It's like, I went through this a while back, and I was thinking about getting an app for my podcast. And I'm like, I thought it would be cool. I'm like, I'm going to have a local first podcast app. Now I got an app for that. And I'm like, why am I trying to pull all these people to me? I'm like, why? And then I told myself, where did my tribe live? Who am I talking today, and where does their tribe live, and push my content to them instead of trying to pull them into me. And I found that works a lot better, and I save myself a lot of money.
Well, it's not just that. Like, people want to be everywhere all the time, right? Yeah. But you don't have a huge brand like Apple or Microsoft or any of those Android, Google, or whoever it is. So if you're a small, medium-sized business, you have restricted budget and restricted time. You need to focus on what's going to deliver the best impact and results for your business, right? So look at that, and people usually will understand, like, they're always after the best results for whatever budget they have, right? Like, best return on investment. So if there are different ways to market yourself locally, don't get me wrong, there's flyers, newspapers, direct mail, door knockers, telemarketers, all these still work. And all you have to do is figure out when to hit them with that information, what's the messaging like? All these things matter, right? Like trade shows and communities online, social media, all these work. And every client, every business owner will figure that out. But it's hard, right? Like everyone wants the best yesterday.
The best yesterday. You brought up, John, and you were talking about, the copy, being like in a blog or an audio, a podcast, and a video and images. Should someone just pick one and run with it, or have a combination of all of those to see what works? I've talked with so many marketing agencies and companies and people, and I hear a lot that, it's about getting it out there and seeing what sticks, and then seeing what works, and then run with it until it doesn't.
So my honest opinion is obviously written content is what Google picks up. However, it's all about your audience members and your ideal customers and where they consume and how they consume content. So if they love video, start producing really high quality video, right? Invest that money on really good equipment or hire a professional to take really good pictures or images or videos, right? And put it on your website and syndicate it on YouTube or whatever platform that they consume the content. So really look and speak to your customers to find out your audience members, because if you're just going blind and you want to do everything very well, you won't do anything good.
That's so true. Oh my goodness, I agree to that so much. You must be reading my mind right now.
Right?
I like the audio piece of it, and that's where I get my local business owners, and they do really well. And the one thing that I try to teach my guests, and you already know this, is that when a guest comes on the show, that this is possibly a 30-minute marketing tool or marketing piece of content that they can use and repurpose over and over again. And it's out there, and you can chop it up into how many pieces that you want. I look at it to a movie trailer. You might see 30 seconds of it out of a 2 to 3 hour movie. And there's just so much more to that. And it's really important for people to understand, whether it's your images, your video, your audio, your copy, you can take that large piece of content and break it down into smaller pieces.
Yes.
Reuse, repurpose, recycle, whatever you want to call it. That's really cool. Do you work with any kind of businesses, or is it just just local business with you, or do you have a specific niche?
Yeah, so I've worked so far. 80% of our clients are small, medium-sized businesses, usually Yellow Pages type verticals. The family-run plumber, roofer, dentist, lawyers, etc. But then there's 20% actually national or global in scope. That need some digital presence because it's very expensive and very hard to captivate leads, salespeople doing a lot of global campaigns or national campaigns. It's very expensive, right? So all they care about is exposure, branding, and also some lead gen, right? So yes, we deal with a lot of both, but I really love the tribe of local, small, medium-sized businesses because I can relate to them. And I love helping them because they're making an impact in their local community.
I love it. And that's really cool that, you're sticking local like that. And I like it. And you really build a relationship with those people in those local businesses as you work with them and get to know them and help them out.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of personalization and being real and authentic and raw, right? Like you don't have to BS anything and they'll know if you are or not, right? And, let them in on how you got to like storytell, right? Let people in on your life, because if they are your neighbors or friends eventually, or they go to the same community center or school like your children do or whatnot, like that's what life is all about, right? Like extending your circle to more people that are also similar or like-minded, right? And that's what life is all about, right? Like just surrounding yourself with good like-minded people.
I love that. And I'm doing a quick plug in here for Exacta Corporation, one of our primary sponsors. Think Possibilities, Think Exacta. Thank you guys. When it comes to, the SEO piece of it, and and doing your marketing, and I've heard this a couple different ways and a couple of different people have done it, how much personal or just kind of like, I heard like, you put it out there and you put your sales and your marketing out there. And do you recommend that people put any like, personal stuff? You mentioned personal stuff out there, whether it be on Facebook or LinkedIn, just updates on how you as a person is doing so they can create that affinity with them of that on there.
Yeah, so it all depends on who you're trying to attract, what kind of business you are. Because if you're a fairly large business or you're selling just a product, they don't really care about your story, right? They care about price. But if you're a service base and you're hyper competitive like a dentist, and there's thousands of them or hundreds of them in your local area, like you need to differentiate yourself. You need to understand what's the unique selling proposition. What's your competitive edge, right? So you need to let people in on why you want to serve the community that you're in, and let them in about a little bit about your journey, right? Your path to how you became a dentist or owner, and what kind of impact you want to make, right? So it all depends, really. And you have to look at your competitors too, right? And see what traction they have, what they've done, how long they've been in it. So SEO is more of a long-term strategy. It's not like a quick fix. Like, yes, you can build a website, great content, but ultimately it's not like you build it, they will come, right? It's the same thing as like you build you have a retail outlet at a really good intersection in your local area. However, if you still don't market yourself, or yes, you have signage, your brand opening, whatever, but if you don't properly market and you don't put money behind it, it's very difficult to get traction, right? You may get it when it's grand opening, but how sustainable is it, right? So you constantly have to understand like where you want to be and how you want to position yourself in front of potential customers. And people forget about the marketing piece all the time. They invest so much money and time in making their storefront or retail outlet amazing. They invest thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in good, products and equipment and, people, but they forget about marketing.
Yeah. And that's so true. I've seen it so many times, and they get out there and they open the doors and they're like, why isn't anybody coming in? And it's like, no one knows you're here. Let them know, send out some flyers, make some phone calls, stuff like that. With the Google and all the other analytics constantly changing, how do you keep up with all of that? It's like, I don't know. I hear it all the time and I don't even pay attention anymore, that it's just put it out there and see what I can come up with and, making adjustments. I mean, that's got to be a pretty big challenge for you to, figure out what's today's algorithm.
It's always evolving. You're always trying to, compete with your competitors and just do good, right? Like the big thing is understand what you stand for. Run a really good business, fundamentals, right? Which is take care of your customers, understand your price model. Whenever there's a lead, focus on quality, focus on service, focus on all the tangible stuff on how to run a good business. But when it comes to SEO, then it's like, do you have time to stay on top of it? If you do, there's hundreds of blogs, there's hundreds of videos and podcasts. You can definitely be spending 5 hours a day reading up on that stuff daily, and you'll go crazy because these changes will be like, okay, does it really apply to me? Right? Because we work with hundreds of clients, and it's more like we understand the changes in media and what it plays and blogs out there and what Google's up to. They're just trying to give you the best user experience, right? Give you the best results for that given search query. And all you want to do is provide the best match for them, right? So that you can be more visible. And if you understand the primary purpose, which is build authority, become an expert, position yourself as a thought leader in your community for all the products and services that you offer, focus on that, right? And keep doing good, which is get good reviews, reputation management, start putting out good content to position yourself, support local, so let other people know about who you are, like get some backlinks, like all these foundational things of running a business, like referrals, word of mouth, still apply for digital. And don't forget about that, because that is what Google wants to make it, right, as real, as authentic, as natural as possible.
I like that. And when you say that, it's getting in there marketing and having some goals like that, what does that process look like for a business owner that you're working for the first time and they have nothing? Take us through that process, how you're holding, or you call up, I'm Joe the plumber, and I'm going, I've been in business for 15 years now and I don't even have a website.
Yeah.
Or, it's like I've been working with investors, for the last 10, and now I'm trying to branch out to more residential. How do you get that person to, learn new tricks?
It's very difficult, especially if they're not willing to make changes, right? But they have to understand like evolution of humans, user behavior. If they have a phone and it's a smartphone, they're probably Googling all the time. They're using maps all the time. They're using Netflix or whatever, right? Like, it's just users change their behaviors. And if you don't adapt to this change, then you're going to be left behind. There's a lot of people now on Google all the time, spending a lot more time doing research in front of a computer. And you either get left behind or you join the game, right? And as a business owner, and if you want to exist for the next 5, 10, 20 years, like, you got to jump on, right? Or else you're going to stick with your old ways, which is maybe traditional media, and you may get a hit rate of less than 1%. And that might be great if you have a very high ticket item, right? Like selling a home or whatnot. But for all the other people that are only making $10 or $100 per, new client acquisition, you have to understand, like, am I going to continue spending thousands of dollars to not even break even for a new acquired client? Or is there other ways that are way more efficient that will generate way better returns on your investment, right? So a new client who reaches out to me that doesn't have any digital presence, we walk them through on new website design, walk them through the entire process of what we do, intake, talk about like your ideal customer, writing content. Even if they don't have a good, strong hold on writing content, like, we just extract as much as we can to try to figure out, like, how do we profile him so that he now has more of a digital presence, right? Because they have experience. If you've been in business for 10, 15 years, you probably have been doing something right? You have some clients, you're generating some profitability, you have maybe a team, and you know how to run a business. Or else, if you're not running a good business, you'd be gone in after 1 or 2 years.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And I like what you did, when you're, John, when you're telling people to tell their stories and get that out of them. And the one thing I've seen local businesses do, and some of them do very well, is get involved with the community with their SEO, whether it's getting being part of a charity or a fund or something like that. When you look at, a marketing plan, what does that look like for a business? I mean, do you lay it out from the beginning to end, and are you helping them write content and creating that content for them, or is it you just give them the tools and then they go out and do it?
Yeah. So at our agency, we're a full service agency, and that's the difference. Like, a lot of business owners are busy doing their trades, right? They either are home renovation guy, plumber, pest guy, roofer, or like dentist. Like, you already are busy doing what you do, and you've been, going through schooling, you've been running an operation, trying to grow and scale, right? And that's the last thing they want to know. Like, how do I market my business, get out there, get more branding out there, get more leads and clients, right? So we make it easy for them. We have a full onboarding process, and we have standard operating procedures for everything from website design to intake of content. So we take care of all the social posts, content writing, blog writing, service page writing, and just creating a good strategy that will build influence, make you become more of a thought leader in your local community.
That's really cool. And, going through that, something that people do or probably not doing enough is engaging with other people's content. I mean, do you I guess either teach people how to do that or have them go out and do some of those types of things, whether it be in the groups or just, scrolling through your Facebook or your LinkedIn feeds and actually engaging with other content?
Yeah, so engaging on social groups, I think it's more personalized, right? Because you have to be the real owner to do it. because then you'll actually know what's going on, right? So we actually leave it up to the business owners if they want to do that. We focus just on SEO, which is already very complex, I feel, because there's so many pillars, from content to technical to graphics to links to development. There's too many factors to really branch off to other components that may help. But we do make it easy for business owners so that they don't have to worry about anything digital, right? Like, because most of them have been doing it for 10, 15 years and they're just experts at their trades. They don't want to know anything about computers. All they care about is phone ringing, leads coming in. Am I selling more than I am? Am I paying for the cost? Am I acquiring better customers? So end of the day, am I more profitable?
Okay, that makes sense. Do you steer anybody towards, certain social media platforms depending on their type of business?
Yeah, so with social, we post on Google My Business. We post on Twitter, Facebook, and potentially LinkedIn, depending on the type of client they're focused on. But really understanding, like, they still need to build their tribe. They need to figure out how do they get more likes and shares and build that community, right? Because our job is to just engage with their existing audience. As much as we want to do everything for them, it's more budget wise, right? Like, can they afford to do everything at the same level a national brand can, right? So everyone wants everything, but not want to pay for anything.
Oh, no doubt.
So for me, I'm very transparent and honest about, like, this is what you get. We're already giving you a tremendous value. And ultimately, it's all about getting a good return on your investment. And most importantly, is that what you're after? And am I the right partner for you? Because there's a lot of companies that will say anything to get a sale, right? Yeah. I'm all about, like, just being raw and authentic. And if they want to be with me, this is how I operate.
This is something that I've done in the past, and a lot of things that I've done with is I found out that I do not want to work with everybody and anybody. So just like, I do on my podcast show is, as we do a pre-call interview. And I've done that with just about everything I've done in the past, is that I found out is, like, I really want to build relationships, depending on the type of business, if it's, a little store or something like that. Do you go through a process of, sitting down and talking with them and really getting to know that person to see if they're a good fit for what you're going to do before you start diving deep into a project?
Definitely. I've learned that over the years, because we've hired and fired a lot midway throughout the campaign, and we made a lot of mistakes, and we continue trying to refine that, right? Yeah. Because it's ultimately a relationship, and if you want us to help you, like, that's why you're reaching out to us as an expert. Just like any product or service that you're offering as a small business owner, you want to work with people that don't respect your time or efforts, right? Because it's a lot of work to do what we do, right? Yeah. And if they understand the value and they understand what we're trying to achieve as a partner, like as a relationship, business relationship, then that's the type of person that I want to work with, right? They have the same core values. They are passionate in their own way, but they also want to make an impact and take care of their staff and clients the same way I want to do it, right? So yes, we have a vetting tool. We have all the questions. We do initial phone screening and calls, consultations, because there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and we don't want to work with people that are not in same alignment as myself.
That's cool. And that's key. And, that is something that I think a lot of people should learn or incorporate in things that they do is have that initial upfront conversation, because not everybody's going to be a good fit for whatever that you're going to do in your business, especially if you're into services and stuff like you are, and as well as myself and stuff like that. So how do people get in contact with you, John?
So you can check out my website. It's www.localseosearch.ca or .com. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. And it's you can find me on the team page on the website, or just Google John Vuong. So it's Vuong, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. I'm looking at that. And then if you're listening, this is brace yourself. Leads are coming. Get found first with SEO that drives more ready to buy leads.
There you go.
I like it. And this is you guys can get started with a free expert SEO consultation, a $999 value.
So there's the vetting tool right there.
Right there. I'm gonna sign up for this.
So there you go,
Comes out
Robert.
on the other side. I love it. All right. So we got all the business out of the way. Now we're gonna get into have a little bit of fun and stuff like that. So, it's cool to see you in your own office, in your own environment, and you are a Toronto Raptors fan, which is I forgive you for that too. Hopefully we'll get you I think maybe the Bucks will be with the Toronto in the second round, which
No, third. I think third round, because second round.
You think it'll be the finals?
It's conference finals.
Conference finals.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool. So I haven't even watched any basketball since they've been in a bubble. Have you been watching it all?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Raptors fan, so yes, definitely.
Oh, that's cool. They've been doing okay?
Yeah, we beat you guys on Monday.
There was no one playing. We didn't
Well,
have anybody.
well, it doesn't matter. We still beat you, even though Giannis didn't play. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He had tooth issues. He was out for dentist surgery. Yeah, it's all good. So we'll leave that alone, and we'll have to do some Zoom calls while they're playing each other, or get on Twitter and harass each other. That would be a lot of fun. That's going to be coming up real quick. So, what are you reading right now? I see these books over your right shoulder.
So I'm reading Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss right now. So again, I haven't really followed his podcast. I read his 4-Hour Workweek book, and I know he has very successful people on his podcast. So for me, I'm also trying to figure out what are some of these billionaires and thought leaders reading. And there you go. It's so far a decent book. It's a summary of all the podcasts, right?
Right.
And which is great, because then I can actually pick out who I really resonate with me and who I want to learn a little bit more about, and then listen to the podcast, right?
Yeah, I got the Tribe of Mentors tool and the Tools of Titans, and I've actually used a lot of the questions. Like, he's one of my virtual mentors, and listening to his podcast and been following him for years and stuff like that. So it's like I have his rapid fire questions in the back marked, and I pick up this book every once in a while and just open it up to try to read it from cover to cover. It's like not so much on it. All right, so that segues us into some rapid fire questions, and before we get into these, you as my guest get to ask me one question, any question, and I will do my best to answer it.
Okay, so my question to you is, where do you want to go with your life for the next 10 years? What's your peer goal in the next 10 years?
Wow, that's deep. John, I mean, that's got to be one of the most deep questions that anybody's asked me on this show. I mean, I even asked if I was boxers or briefs, but 10 years. I don't know if we have that much time.
Well, just in 10 years, where do you want to be?
10 years, where do I want to be? Let's see. I still want to be working, but I want to be semi-retired. Right now, I think I'm 52 years old. So I think I want to be semi-retired. I don't think I'm ever going to stop working. So whether it's doing some consulting or some part-time work, and I really want to be traveling. And, hopefully once everything is lifted up and we get out and do some traveling and get around. And there's a lot of as much as I have traveled in the past, there's a lot of the U.S. and around the world that I still haven't seen. And I want to be able to experience it, because I really believe in seeing people in their own environment and their own culture and getting to know them that way versus, through videos or on TV shows or something like that. So you get
That's awesome.
I look at that as I want to, I still want to do some work. I was actually talking with my friend Karen a little bit before we came on this recording or this show. And we got to talk, and I was like, you know what? It's such a nice day. It's like, I'm just going to, I'm going to sell all my personal belongings, sell all my properties, everything I have. And then my wife and I are just going to move somewhere out in the country, get satellite internet or whatever I can get out there, and just call it a day and be done with it. I think it's a good idea, but I don't think I could do it. much as I want to, man. All right. Oh my goodness. Where's one? What is your, so I'm going to ask you some questions. There's no right or wrong, obviously. You're just rapid fire questions, whatever comes off the top of your head. We'll start with this one. Let's see. Talking or texting?
Talking.
Talking. Love it. Love it. Favorite holiday of the year?
I love Christmas.
Christmas. Okay. Okay. And what's your super strength? If you were a superhero, what would your super strength be?
I don't know. I love giving, so I don't know what the super strength is, but giving away food, giving away, helping people. I don't know.
All right, you're generous. We get it. We get it. All right. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Cake. What's your favorite cake?
I'm a red velvet kind of guy.
Yes. My wife makes some awesome red velvet cake. Do you ever post inspirational quotes on social media?
No.
No. Me neither. All right. Let's see here. I'm just going to come down here. Here's one. Who has it easier, women or men?
Women.
Women?
What? No, I get where my wife is coming from. So yes, but
Yeah.
I still think we do a lot.
All right. That's good. That's good. Some people won't even answer that question. Back to that one. So have you ever worn socks with your sandals?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so? You're not going to tell nobody even if you did?
No.
I love it. That's cool. Well, John, I appreciate you being on Local First Podcast. It's been a really great conversation with you about SEO. Guys, make sure you go to, localseosearch.ca or .com. Check out his content out there. He has a lot of stuff, a lot of good content, a lot of good blogs that I've saw out there that you can get some good information on. Sign up for that free SEO, what did I call it? SEO consultation. Make sure you get that done. Make sure you connect with them online. Ask them a lot of questions because we obviously can't get it all in this short period of time. So, go to the source to what you need for your small company and get it going out there, guys. So, any last parting words for the audience?
Just have fun with it, right? Like life is a journey. It's not like a race. So really slow down. Everyone thinks you need to do everything like right away and get results right away. But you have to understand like what life is all about, right? And slow down. Slow down.
I like that. It's a theme for the rest of the week. Slow down.
Exactly.
I like it. And as always, guys, I would let you know that if you like what you hear today, share it with at least one other friend so they can get something out of it as well. If you would like to, make sure that you would subscribe to a Local First Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor, please reach out to me on any of the social media platforms. Other than that, thank you so much for being on the show, John.
Thank you so much, Robert. Had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah.